Hi, everyone. This is our third meeting of the month. I cannot believe that it's the third Tuesday, or is it the fourth even? I don't know. How many days are in May? I'm not thinking about that right now. It's like day to day. I just had the birthday party extravaganza and it's not over yet. So she gets one more on Sunday, but I won't be there. So not my problem. Anyways, it's been a crazy weekend. And and people say long weekends you're supposed to get all your yard work done and all of the gardening, and it poured rain where I was. So my grass is about that long and there's still no mowing in sight because it's still raining. Anyway, that's that. It is May showers. Okay, so today we're going to kind of piggyback on what happened on Saturday in the event that was so amazing, and everybody shared their stories and the products that they love the most. And I thought, let's just continue that into the team meeting, because I think sometimes we forget our own stories, and we forget how we felt before Plexus. And it's good to be reminded of how far we've come. So it is me and Shelly and Barb and Diane, and Barb and Diane and myself, we're going to share our stories and the product that we feel has made the biggest difference in our lives lately, or the one that we like the most. Even though it's really hard to do that, it's like picking your favorite child. How do you pick a product that you love the most? Because they all work so well together. And when you don't take one, but you're substituting one for another, you really do feel it eventually down the road. Anyways, Barb, would you like to go first today and share your story with us?
Good evening, everyone. So thankful to be here. I haven't shared my story in a long, long time. So here goes. Raise your hand if you have ever been told, well, your mom has that, you will have it too. Or your mom suffers with that and you will suffer too. Okay, so quite a few hands raised. That might come true, but there are things that we now know that if we do them, certain things to combat the ailment, the sickness, the diagnosis, then it doesn't have to be like that. So I've been learning a lot about my DNA, stuff that it works against my body because of what I've been learning, and diabetes was one of the things that my mom got diagnosed with. I want to say 20 years ago. So I'm almost 10 years older than when she got diagnosed. And so if and I know some of you know the health struggles that my mom has had and has had. They just retired and now they have to move into a ground level apartment or a condo, whatever you want to call it. And life is hard. My dad, I don't know if I should say that, but he's still full of piss and vinegar and still has so much life left, and my mom does not. So it makes it very hard for them to travel and, all the things with that. So 8 years ago, and I can't believe it is 8 years ago, I decided that I needed to do something. I had absolutely no energy. My boys were getting older. We had just sold the cattle, like we had 40 to 50 head of cattle. My boys were getting older, and I was left with most of the work now. And my husband usually worked out of town. So I was exhausted. Like some days I really felt like um I couldn't even get into the front door. I just wanted to lay down. I was so tired. And so I was a school bus driver. I, for the life of me, could barely often get to work on time to get those kids to school on time. And sometimes it probably wasn't safe in the mornings because of I couldn't. So you're so tired, but you can't sleep. You get up in the morning, and even if I did get 8 to 9 hours of sleep, I was still tired in the morning. So I knew I had to do something. So fast forward a little bit, March started on the products. I was at her house one day and I said, "What are you doing?" I could tell she had more energy. And she told me about the products, and the first thing that I that spoke to me was the blood sugar balancing in our pink drink. And I immediately thought, what if this could be the thing that could combat, even if I did have it in my DNA or in my genes to maybe have diabetes? What if this could be the thing that I wouldn't get it?
Need to drink.
I would, if you balance blood sugars, and I don't know how much research everybody has done, but we always talk about the roller coaster ride our hormones are on. Up, down, up, down. And because they're not balanced, everything else is inflamed, everything else is affected, all the hormones, the thyroid, all the things, right? If you are balanced throughout the day, then there's less chance of inflammation, and we all know inflammation, that's where disease starts. So I started with the products. I was the person as well. I did not want another thing on my credit card. I could not have another thing on my credit card. And so, but I knew I had to do something because I did not want to go on the path that my mom was on. And she went on to needing back surgery, and she had to lose 100 pounds very fast. So she went and had back surgery. She had stomach surgery in Mexico, and then we almost lost her. And then I thought, no, I do not want to take that route. And we all get to choose, right? We all get to choose. And I did get flack from my family. And we all know in the beginning when we start something, everybody pokes fun. Oh, there's probably Plexus for that. Oh, I bet Plexus will fix that. That's okay. That's okay. I'm now 10 years older than when my mom was diagnosed. I remember the PMS and the hormonal changes she went through in menopause and all the things, and thankfully, and thank you Jesus, that has been all in check so far. So if anyone ever comes at you that Plexus can fix that, or Plexus will fix or improve something, you just gladly say, oh yeah, it does. So I am happy to say I'm a grandma of one now. His name is Ezra. He's 7 years old. We live on an acreage, and we just built a house here a couple of years ago. And yeah, my husband works for himself, and life is good. And he has a huge acid reflux story as well. We're loving the products, and yeah, that's where it's at.
Thanks so much, Barb. I love your story. I love how you tied that all into the generations, right? Like you are a curse breaker. You broke it by just taking care of yourself, and that's a huge deal. I heard that my whole life. My mom would say that stuff to me. Oh, just wait, your appendix is next. Oh, now it's your gallbladder. And I'm like, get away from me. Stop cursing me with all your diseases. I don't need that. But I was following the same path. So wow, that's, here I'm thinking it's just my crazy mother, but nope. It seems to be everybody. That's such a good story. Thank you very much, Barb, for helping out tonight and for sharing your story. I so appreciate that. Okay, Diane, you're next. I can hardly wait to hear yours again.
I'm going to surprise you because I'm just going to touch on mine, but I always talk about my mom. Like my mom wants me to share her story. So I'm going to tell hers. It's short. It's not long, and my husband's. So for me, if you don't know, there's my little Plexus puppy back there. She's on it. I'll tell their story next time. So for me, I started because of my stomach issues, and it was about 8 years ago. Yeah, it was over 8 years ago. Barb, we must have started around the same time. But I do not have stomach issues anymore. So, I mean, that is fantastic and I love it and life is good. And allergies, I had really bad allergies in the spring and I do not suffer with them either. And menstrual issues. So for me, that's just those three big areas I struggled with for a long time. And Plexus was my answer. So then after a little while, when my mom knew that I was feeling better, she wanted to take it and to try it. And she had the same, like Barb, digestive issues, like mother, like daughter. I kind of knew that my mom suffered with that too. And it really helped her. But right before she started Plexus, she was in the hospital for diverticulitis. And she was like, the surgeon basically said, next time this happens, like you have another event where it flares up, we're going to do surgery. So she has not had one flare up since she started Plexus, and she was 80 when she started Plexus, and it's been 7 years. So I know, it's amazing.
That's amazing.
So she's just over the moon because, yeah, she's like me. I'm scared of needles. So anyway. And then my husband, his story is actually interesting because we started Plexus with him for his psoriasis. And this skin condition, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it is not pleasant. Like it was all over his legs. And the only time he would get relief, he did go to the doctor for creams and different medications. And the only time he had relief was when we went to Mexico. Like when we went south with the salt water and the humidity or whatever it was better. And then we'd come back home and it was just, it would just dry up and crack and be itchy and flaky. And oh, it was horrible. So he started taking it and I'd put it out every morning and every night for him, and he would just take it. And he was discouraged because for me, within a short period of time, I was seeing results gradually, and he wasn't. He was experiencing a little bit of help with his digestion, but that's about it. And he was frustrated. And so he only kept taking the products because I was putting it out for him, but he was discouraged. And I overheard him talking to a friend at one point saying that it didn't do anything for him. And that just broke my heart because I knew what it was doing for me and I knew what it could do, but he was discouraged. So about 9 or 10 months in, with him still taking it, I was sitting across from him in the room and he was wearing shorts, and I noticed that his legs were clear. And it just took longer for him. Like it works. Like I get so frustrated when I have people on my team that they quit too early, and everybody's different. Like their bodies, we all know that our diets are different. Our environment's different. Our sleep patterns are different. And your body is going to heal where it wants to heal first, and it might not be exactly where you want it to heal first, right? So for him, it was working on his gut, and then it eventually did work on his skin. So that was his success story. And my favorite product, Penny, is the Triplex. I know it's more than one product, but I have people asking me all the time, like if they hear Eric's story or my mom's story or even my story, we all took the same things. Like we added in X Factor when it was released, or other products when they're released, but all of our results came with the Triplex. So that is my all-time favorite. I mean, we all know they work together, and they work together so well, and they just do so many different things, like 3 different people and so many different results. And it's just been awesome. So that's my favorite product, the combo Triplex.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Kind of is the foundation we build on, isn't it? Yeah. This is really amazing stuff that we take. And this is an amazing company that we represent. And I just, I don't really know exactly what to say after that. I'd have to formulate some thoughts, but we are blessed. We are very, very blessed to have this in our reach. And believing that it will eventually work is huge because you're going to stay on it long enough so that it actually does work, right? So that's good. Thank you for those stories, Diane. I loved it. And for your mom. Like, how awesome is that? At
Yeah, I
80.
don't want to get emotional because yeah, I won't be able to stop crying, but just to be a part of that and to, it's just amazing. Like to know
It
that
is.
you're a part of your mom feeling better. And she tells people, it's awesome. I love it. There isn't a better
That's
feeling.
so great.
Mm.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell a little bit of my story, but I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction. I don't know that I have a favorite product. I think if I had to pick from what's been happening in the last 3 or 4 months in my life, I would say it would probably be the ProBio-CA, just because I've had to stop taking some things, and I'm not going to get into why, but it was little by little, I thought, well, I don't really need that. So I'll just substitute this, or I don't need this and I don't need this. And these are just the core things that I want and that I need, and the rest doesn't matter. And then it got down to a point where it was only the pink drink for a while. And let me tell you, so let's start at the beginning. My story, I had so many things wrong. So I'm just going to list them all. I was nauseated all the time after I ate. I felt sick after I ate all the time. Like, not to the point of throwing up, but just really uneasy in my stomach and in my gut. And I had really bad acid reflux that I was on a really powerful antacid for. And I was taking 2. I'm not supposed to, but I was, because it wasn't working. So I thought, well, maybe if I took another, it would help. And it never did. So I stopped taking them, and I thought, well, I guess I'll just eat salad. But even just eating salad was making me sick. So I thought, something's going on here. So you go for all the oscopies, they can't find anything. And you just think, well, I'm not, this isn't in my head. I know how I feel. I'm not a hypochondriac. I don't enjoy this. And so I think maybe part of it might have been the depression that I was suffering too all throughout, well, pretty much my whole life, but was diagnosed in my 30s. When I started to feel better from that because of the antidepressant I was put on, it didn't really set well with my stomach. So then you had that on top of it, and then constipation and all of the things. So I was a bit of a mess. And like when you think back and you talk about it, you think, wow, I was not well. And you think you're fine because you just push through and you just do all the things anyway. So I met Jim later in life. I think I was 38 when we met. And then we talked about having children. And I thought, well, if we're going to do that, I have to go off my antidepressants because I don't want this to be in my child's body. So, like, I think it was 3 months into us dating, I started weaning myself off. And I was a little bit afraid to do that because I know what it feels like to be almost at the end of all the things. And it's not a good feeling. It is the worst. And there's no positive thinking that's going to drag you out of it. And there's no Bible verse that's going to encourage you out of it. It is a disease, and you can't control what's going on except through medication, is what I thought. And I thought, okay, well, this is just a short period of time. And I think I was riding the whole I'm in love and everything's great kind of high. So it helped me for a little bit. And so we get married, and it took me about 5 months to get pregnant. So then I have Trilby. And after that, I think I experienced a little bit of postpartum because I started panicking, thinking, okay, here it comes. Here it comes. It's coming back. And then I was okay for a little bit, but then Jim made me go to a naturopath where we were dropping like thousands, I'm not joking, of dollars that we didn't have so that I would feel better. And I just thought, this is crazy town. I can't do this forever. So Jim said, just do it for a little bit and then see what happens. So 3 months, it worked a little bit, but then I found out I was pregnant. So I had to go off of those because you couldn't take those when you were pregnant. All of the natural supplements that were costing so much money. And so then I just kind of went through that pregnancy, and I was just not a good person when I was pregnant with our second. I was very moody and very snippy. After she was born, I felt, oh, I feel normal, but then I was emotional all the time. And because I have a toddler and now I have this new baby and I'm 43 years old, I'm thinking, okay, I can do this. I'm a grown adult. Like, I'm 43. I should be able to handle this. And then I took on my cousin's 2-month-old when she went back to work. So I had an 8-month-old, a 2-month-old, and a 3-year-old, 2.5, 3-year-old. And it was going okay. I had a nice little system going, but I was exhausted. I just had zero energy. And Trilby is telling me my favorite thing is a nap. And I just thought, I really don't want my kids looking at me like I can't do what all the young moms can do, because I wanted to do all the young moms could do. But I knew that my age was a big factor. And so then in steps Diane, and she's like, oh, you need this. This is what I've been taking. And she told me all about Plexus. And I'd had some pretty bad experiences with supplement people. And I'm like, no, that's not going to work. I've tried it. I've tried all of these things. Nothing's working. It's not going to work. And so my biggest hang up though is that we were a 1-income family with 2 little people. And I thought, there's just no way we can afford this. So that's what my hang up was. And I really wish I wouldn't have been hung up on it, but I was. So you have your journey. You've got to get over your things. Anyway, so when I finally started, it took 8 months to see the results that I really wanted to see. But I was seeing little things along the way that kept me going. I thought, well, okay, all these testimonies, like if it's happening for them, it'll happen for me. Because why wouldn't it happen for me? I'm not an alien. I'm a human being like the rest of the world, and it'll happen. So I just believed that it was going to, and I knew it was going to take time, because with me, things take time. I'm a late bloomer in a lot of ways, and my health is no different. So, when it finally started really working in the direction I wanted it to go, I thought, this is amazing. This is great. How can I not share this? So I started sharing it. And then Jim lost his job, and then I had to share it. And it was probably the best thing that has happened to me in a long time. It gave me, like, I was in a mentally good place where I could focus and do all of the things that I needed to do to get to where I wanted to go. And it hasn't been perfect, and it hasn't been easy. And there's been a lot of mind work and a lot of things that you have to get over from decades of being alive. But, if you just keep going at it, eventually everything starts to wash out. So now let's just fast forward to the last 4 months when I've had to stop taking some things, or I chose to for reasons. And I started feeling very sick after I'd eaten. I'm like, wow, I haven't had this for a long time. Why am I feeling so, like, come on, like, just give your head a shake. The reason you're feeling this way is because you stopped taking the products. And then it was like the mood swings. It affected everything. It affected how I showed up in my day. Like, the girls are you okay, Mom? Oh, I'm totally fine. But there's nothing going on there. And I started feeling really anxious, and I started feeling really, like I could hardly wait to get to bed. And that's how I was when I was depressed. You get up in the morning, you're like, when can I go to bed? Like, I have to do this and this and this, and then I can go back to bed. It's just not been a really good 4 months for me. The last month has been really horrible. So I just thought, this is crazy. I don't care what I have to do. I have to have these. This is like, what am I doing? I can't, because when things start to get a little bit tight, maybe in your budget or just in life, you don't take the things away from your kids. You take the things away from you. because you want to give your kids all of the things, and you want your husband to have all of the things he wants, or to feel, I don't even know how to put it, but you always go on the back burner. And I won't do that again. That was not a really good thing for me to do. So anyways, I say all of that to say it makes a difference in what you take. Do not stop taking the triplex. That is what is going to carry you through. The others are amazing and awesome and enhance everything that the triplex gives you. But when the triplex isn't there, you just don't get the benefits of these products like you would if you were to take them. So I feel like I'm on an upswing. Everything is starting to get back to normal again. And I just thought, man, I will never do that to myself again. All of the work that you do beforehand, and like, you just can't. And when people say, do I have to be on this for the rest of my life? I will now say, yes, you will, because you will not want to not be on it for the rest of your life. If you want to go backwards and feel how you did before, then go ahead. But that is my, can you see something in my teeth, Paige? Paige just asked in the chat if you brush your teeth every day. Do I have spinach in my teeth? Anyway, yes, exactly. Do you brush your teeth every day? Do you brush your guts every day? Do you get all of that junk out that is going to keep you from living your best life and showing up for yourself and your team and your family the way that you should? Like this, what we have is absolutely incredible. And to just take it for granted is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. So that is my testimony. These products work. And if you think they don't, just go off them for 4 months and see where you're at in a 4-month period, because you will not be a happy person. Anyway, so that's what I have to say about that. And now Shelley is going to encourage us with some of her wisdom. So we'll just turn it.
Thanks, Penny. So if you heard, there was a common theme with Penny, Barb, and Diane. At some point, one of those people had a lack of belief in the product, and they just kept going. And I've been thinking about belief a lot lately, and I'm going to be very honest. I'm looking at everyone. I think everyone here is a business builder or trying to get products paid for or something. And so we're going to talk about belief. And I forget the stats. I wrote them down on a piece of paper, and then my son cleaned my kitchen and the paper's gone. But I think 1 in 10 people want to do this as a business. And out of those 10 people that will do it, it's like 1 in 10 that will succeed. And the thing that will hold you back is not your skills. It's your belief. It's your mindset. It is your habits too. I do believe that, but your mindset creates your habits. So we're going to do actually a very practical exercise. I'm all about, like, I don't love just inspiring people, because inspiration lasts for 30 seconds and then you're like, oh, now it's hard again. I'm done. Right. So I'm just about, like, let's actually learn something. So I'm going to talk about the belief triad. So get a pen or a paper or a smartphone or something where you can write. And I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, not your past, not where you want to be, but right now on a scale of 1 to 10. Where does your belief lie in each of these 3 areas? You don't have to tell us. So be honest. Like, don't secretly say what you think people want to hear. You can share, but you don't have to. So just be honest. So first of all, there's 3 parts. It's a belief triad. So the first part of it is, what is your belief in the product? So the triplex plexus, what is your belief? A scale of 1 to 10, where's your belief? So write that down. The second thing I want you to think about, where is your belief on a scale of 1 to 10 in the business model? So entrepreneurship, network marketing, where is your belief in the model itself? And again, the more honest you are with yourself, I will give you tools, and then you can solve for this. And the third area is, what is your belief on a scale of 1 to 10 in you and your ability to do this in yourself? What is your belief in yourself? Now, I'm not going to ask for specific numbers, but just maybe by show of hands, you can do your hand raising on the thing, or you can, raise your hand. Who had the product as their highest belief? So the highest number who had the product. Okay. Who had the business model as their highest belief? And who had themselves as their highest belief? So here's where we go wrong. So very quickly, if your belief isn't 100% in the product, that's okay. We're not going to have drama about that. What we're going to do is you're going to go into your back office, you're going to go into boards, you're going to research, you're going to be like, okay, where's my belief breaking down? And you'd be like, well, this story, you're going to find testimonies, you're going to learn that. And the reason why you need to learn to do that for yourself is so you can identify it in customers and your team. So you will have customers when you're talking to them, they might not have results. They might be like Diane's husband, right? Not having results right away. So what is your job? Your job is to regularly give them product information or testimony. Know off the top of your head, get to know your people, who has low belief in the product, who's not sure, share testimonies. Oh, I just had this thing. Penny shared a testimony. Here it is. There it is. I just learned this product thing, because you will pull people along. If they don't believe in the product, you can't just say, well, that's not my problem. It actually is your problem. It's your job to help them get there. Okay. So that's the product. The business model. Brittany Howard has a really good podcast, and I can put it in the chat, just on the business model, why network marketing is the best. Everything from unlimited income, like all of the things. And it's so good. If you're unsure about this business model, that's not a problem. I was so unsure with this business model, so I researched the heck out of it. And a lot of people, the richest people in the world, like I'm not talking about like the weirdos that have done those bizarre things, but just the richest like occupation is entrepreneurs, and specifically network marketers. Because even entrepreneurs that get paid by the hour, there's only so many hours in a day. So that caps off, right? You can't work more than 24 hours in a day. And so it's the best business model. So if you're not sure about the business model, educate yourself. You can listen to that podcast, do your own research, richest people in the world, richest people in North America, and you will very quickly find this is a very lucrative business model. Now, here's where the rubber meets the road. If you have low belief in yourself, it's not like this is not a get fixed by Friday type of thing. You have to get really clear on where is your belief lacking. Is it your skills? Is it your habits? If it's your skills, you can learn it. If it's your mindset and your habits, this is a problem. You can change them, but you have to kind of get control of your mind. And I'm going to be really forthcoming for a minute, because I've heard multiple people wanting to quit or quitting and different things. And so I just want to be really open about this. We've all had junk in our lives. We are all currently going through something or have gone through something. We've all either been bullied as a kid, had a rough childhood incident, had something happen, and we carry this stuff. And how you carry it, it stays with you if you don't deal with it. And so a lot of times we just bury it and we think, oh, it's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm just going to power through. Because I love Jesus, or because I'm a good person, or we just bury your head in the sand. And then you do network marketing and someone tells you you're awful or your product sucks and you have a breakdown and you want to quit. These things come up. And I don't want to point at one specific thing. I'm just saying all of these things come up. We all carry some type of baggage or insecurity. It's like a relationship. You enter a new relationship, right? Like I thought I was the most level-headed 20-year-old on the planet. And then you start like seriously dating someone and they say something to you and, oh my gosh, I'm sure I could probably end the story there. I think you guys all probably get me, right? We realize how many issues we have, right? I want to be loved. I want to be needed, like whatever our issues are, right? Network marketing brings it all up, you guys. And if you don't deal with it today, then you are going to crash and burn, or you're going to leave, or you're going to run away because it's going to be too much. Burnout, I'm going to say this once, so listen. Burnout does not happen because of how many hours you work. It happens because of what you're thinking when you're not working. That's what burnout is, you guys. This, like, no one told me this. It's not a fact, but I'm making it a fact today. I think it is a fact because we stress and we think and we overthink and we stress out, and then we go to sit and do something and we freeze and we freak out. And it's connected to all this stuff. And people say, oh, it's network marketing is, you know, you're compensated for, like the work, the mindset work you do, but you have to do the work. And I'm seeing too many people just pushing through and avoiding and saying it's not a big deal. And here's another place that's going to hit a little bit hard. And I don't mean to bring up trauma, but if you get to a team, Emerald, Senior Ruby, anything, and you have a team and now you're leading people and you crash and burn and you freak out and you can't handle this, now you're just not making it about you. You're bringing other people down. Like, this stuff has got to be dealt with. So if you looked at your thing and you're like, I have low belief in myself, I can believe in you all the time. But recently I realized I can only believe in you so far. You have to believe in yourself. Your leaders can only put so much belief into you. You've got to be the one to do it. And if your habits are a problem, change them. I know for a fact, someone's like, I just can't motivate myself. If I told you I was watching you every minute and I would pay you $1 million at the end of the month for doing it, you would darn well find a way to do it. Okay. You will get paid $1 million, but not today, but it will come. Trust me, it will come. You've got to get your habits in check. You have got to get your mindset in check. You have to figure out what is causing you to be afraid. It's not a problem to be afraid to post because someone's going to hate you, but deal with it. I have dealt with a lot of this stuff just through listening to podcasts and talking to people. And I go to Mark sometimes, and everyone has an upline. We can go to people. We have side sisters. We have pay for counseling. If you have a job where you get free therapy, oh my gosh, go to therapy. Like, I think everyone should go to therapy. It's just, well, I used to be a counselor, I'm biased, but it's really good to work through this stuff. And I think get coaching. And there's lots of like even free stuff you can get, right? Like just listening to stuff. We need to deal with this stuff. We need to understand the belief. We are holding ourselves back. Most of us that are here on a Tuesday night, on this beautiful night, we're committed to the product. We're committed to the business model. We know we can do this. So our belief in ourselves, we've got to raise the lid on that. We have got to trust in ourselves, find the holes and fill them. Right? It's okay that you don't have all the answers. It's okay you don't have all the tools. For those of you that didn't hear Brittany Howard speak on the meeting last night, it was really good. And she hit Emerald and then was stuck for 2 years because she realized she had a giant hole in her bucket. And I think she was at silver for 2 years. Like, it took her 2 years to even, get past kind of silver sort of thing. Right. And so if she got through it, we all can. Like, listen to her story. So I could speak forever on this, but I'm really seeing and I'm hearing, and it's subtle. Sometimes you go, well, this little feeling sorry for yourself for this little stuff. And that's fine. Like, feel sorry for yourself, but figure out the mindset. It's not a question of, can I do this? People often say, I don't know if I can do this. That's actually not the question. Are you going to do it? And if you're going to do it, if I told you you had to plant a garden or you had to anything, you would Google it, you would go on YouTube, you would Google, and you would find out how to do it. Do it yourself projects. That's Paige's thing. Anything you need to know, you can learn how to do. It's the decision to do it. So I just want to encourage you all with that tonight to take your belief, to take your 1 to 10. I encourage everyone. I do this every month. I look at my numbers every month because sometimes you'll have a slip up somewhere, or you'll be like, oh, my belief has dropped a little bit here or a little bit here because I had 3 alpha people message me and then I did this spammy thing and I felt weird. So my business model belief is low. I need to build that up. So you should be kind of constantly looking at those numbers, and you can break it down as much as you want for yourself. Break it into categories. Is it your habits? Is it your mindset? Be numerical about it. Give yourself data so that you can ask yourself, if you're at a 3, you're not going to get to a 10 today, but in the next week, what can you do to raise yourself from a 3 to a 4, right? Kind of slowly, incrementally work your way up. So we have a few minutes. If anyone wants to share about your numbers, I would love to give you an opportunity for that, but you don't have to.
For mine, if you want. For belief in the product, 10 out of 10, 100%. It's got me all the results, right? And then some. So super awesome. Belief in the business model is like super high. It works, right? Like 8, 9, I mean, it could be a 10. But I think this is where it's tied together, like belief in myself in the business model, right? Some days it's like super high and it's like, yes, doing so good. You know, when you help somebody new, and then there are days where I'm like, not doing so good. Is this business model gonna work for me, with me? Like, am I gonna be able to do the things that all of these other tons of people have done? Or, I mean, I'm not a special unicorn and neither are they, but am I like, is something, do you just have those limiting beliefs, right? Like, is something wrong with me to not be able to work in the business model? Do you know what I mean? That anyway, that's where my number is. Sorry, this is like a therapy session. Sorry.
That was really good. And I just actually want to quickly touch on something. Who has an Instapot? Raise your hand if Instapots work. Okay. How you use it. I tried it a couple times. I burnt everything. I wasn't paying attention. I couldn't get my mind around it. That doesn't mean Instapots don't work. I need to figure out how to work it. And you can use the same analogy for anything. And so so connect it to you. The business model works, but you need to learn how to do it. And that's not like a shame, like I can't do it. It's just I probably should have read an instruction book. I'm not really into instruction books. I kind of just think they're a waste of my time and I'd rather figure it out. So if I read the instruction book, I probably would have been an Instapot fan. So you just have to find out, did you cook your thing too long? What's happening? And so that's just for people that are like your belief in the business model. You just have to bridge that gap of what it is specifically and know that it's learnable, right?
I think
Anything else you want to share?
I think one thing that is important for us females to remember is that we're not males. Because the world is designed for men and we're not men. And I think this is the number one lesson I've had to learn over the last year is that for anybody that has not learned this, okay, women run on a 28 to 30 day cycle, men every flipping 24 hours. That is not women. So men do this in one day and then they're done. And they do it every day. We do this all month long. And that's normal. And that's okay. And that's why when you look in the mirror at a certain time of month, you're like, dang, I look good. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, what happened to me? That is normal and it's okay. And it really impacts our businesses too. It does. And for us to pretend it doesn't is delusional. And I pretended that for a long time. So there are times of the month where you're just not going to feel as energized. And that's okay. We still show up. We still do the things. Don't kill yourself, but you're still going to show up and do the things. And then when you are in that phase of like high momentum and high energy, that's when you plan your meet and greets. That's when you plan your events. That's when you plan your one-on-one coffee dates during that time, because that's when you're going to be able to show up at the next level. And so if you're feeling like your belief is a little bit low, or you're feeling like not as energized, maybe look at your cycle. Where are you at? Are you at a place where you're just at the low place where maybe you need to be resting and taking a little bit more time to rejuvenate yourself and maybe filling your cup a little bit? Because it is important to watch that, because it does impact your mind, your hormones, all of it. It all cycles and it all impacts your mind. It's all a big piece of the puzzle. I've been working on this a lot, so I can speak from experience.
Thank you so much for that, Sheila. And that's really good. And that's why when I do my IPA, I don't do the same things every day. Because even I've noticed, like, since I've started doing X Factor and the monthly resets, my cycle's now gone from 28 days to 21 days. So I pretty much have like my energy flow within the week, right? And so I have different tasks you can do. So you do have to do self-care, you do have to rejuvenate, you do have to take care of yourself, but just start paying attention to those things. Like Sheila said, there's like tons of information on that. And then plan, okay, so what are the things you can do on those days? Do you need to work on a system? Do you need to work on, like, there's still really good things you can do, but just paying attention to it. It takes the shame and the guilt off. Because as soon as you shame yourself for something, then you connect shame with work. If you shame yourself for not working in your brain, those two get connected and it's hard to separate. But we also can't use it as an excuse, right? So you have to find out exactly when you do this best, when you do that best, and learn to work with yourself. And if you haven't started tracking it, just track and pay attention to it, right? Okay, she has a my flow. Okay, there we go. All right, Penny, anything else? Is there anyone else who wanted to share a thought? You don't have to share your numbers, but even just share, did you have an aha moment with the Believe Chat? Is there anything brilliant you have to download on us?
I'm going to add a little bit to it because this kind of took me back on my journey to different seasons of my business and things that happened in certain seasons. And it's so interesting of how we all feel kind of like, someone can really teach you that the business model makes sense. You can do that research, you can kind of get behind it, and you can see other people doing it, and you're like, okay, that makes complete sense. My post a couple days ago, if you look at the list of why people still join an MLM, right? It's like obvious, very obvious. And you do the same thing for products. You find a good product, hey, that's so easy to tell your people. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just so easy, right? When it comes to ourselves, I would venture to say like about 99% of us stumble most when it comes to ourselves. And it's because you are your own subconscious. And so there were several things that I was thinking about as I was going through personal growth and learning that this business was me growing me. And the more I would lean into growing myself, the more my lid would lift and there would be more room for more people under my lid. And so when I started thinking of that visual, you kind of think of someone who's under an umbrella and they've got it like right yanked down over their head. Really, there's no room for anybody else under that umbrella, right? Like you have to lift up and make room for more people, and the umbrella has to open further and further in order for more people to get under of where you are, and that takes belief on your part. And so I remember my very first coaching session. It was a friend in Plexus. She was almost 70 years old. She was over 65 at the time. And she was an emerald in Plexus. She had just kind of organically grown a group of people. She didn't even really want to build a big business. And she was just the sweetest lady ever. And there was some blocks in my brain because number one, I had gone pretty fast. And then the biggest part of my local team quit, right? After I went Senior Ruby. And so I got stuck there very much mentally because I met these people uptown, because these people were in my church, because these people were in my visuals, right? And so I had a call with Eva and Kristen's like, just go sponsor more people. Like, and I just looked at her and I thought it's like the most stupidest thing ever. Like, and now looking back, it's really funny because obviously that is the solution. Just go sponsor more people, right? And I needed someone to help take these blocks away from what I was coming up against in my subconscious. And so this lady asked me, so have you ever sponsored someone? And I said, yeah, like I'm Senior Ruby. Like, and she said, have you ever helped someone go silver? Yeah. Like it seemed so stupid. I didn't know where she was going with these questions. Have you ever gone gold? Yes. Well, then why are you telling yourself that you don't know what you're doing? Your brain comes up against the things that you tell itself. And she said, now step back and look at the visual. Who's telling you this? Only you. The rest of your team isn't. It's just you. And so every time that you catch yourself thinking, I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing? Why is this not working? Who's telling you that? Just you. Just you. And then replace that thought with, look, I've done it before. I know what to do. I'll just go do it again. And the more that you tell it to yourself, the more you're going to be actually doing that, because you're building your own confidence in the actions. And then your mindset starts working in favor for you. And so that was one of my very first subconscious training mindset lessons. And I feel like it was probably the most impactful because of the fact that it was new way of thinking for me back then. I still, whenever I get like kind of hung up on, oh, I should be working more in this. Why am I not doing more of this? Or like, why is this not working as well as what it should? I still go back to that mindset lesson and tell myself, who's telling you that? That's just me. That's just me. Replace that. Be aware and consistent with what you're replacing it with, and your actions are going to start proving itself differently. So me, myself, and I.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah, I feel we could talk about this for the next 5 hours, right? Because it's just so many things you said, but we'll leave it there. That's been a lot for tonight. If no one has anything, Penny, back to you.
Well, that's all we have for tonight. It is 7:53. I think it's a record. We have 7 minutes left. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you guys for being on, and I really hope that you got something from this team meeting. It's always fun to see everybody's faces and to know that we're all in this together. And that no matter how we're feeling or what we've been experiencing, this is always a safe place to land. Even if your mind tells you it's not, it is. And there's always somebody that you can reach out to and talk to about how you're feeling, or how discouraged you are with whatever's going on, or how excited you are with whatever's going on in your business, in your life, whatever, because we are a team and we love each other. And we might not see each other every single day, but I can tell you, seeing all the faces and the names here, that I love each one of you, even though there's just maybe a couple I haven't met yet, but I can't wait to meet. It's just, we are a team. We have a common purpose, and this bonds us and it binds us together. And so with that, I'm going to say, have a great evening, and we will see you on the flip side. Bye. Thanks for coming out tonight.